good to know. I think and I think that sort of goes to the expectations of text giving, which can be a challenge. I think we've all read, maybe some in the trade publications and in the nonprofit sector, about some of the challenges of cost and potentially in the organization, and as well as the expectation, because obviously with Haiti and Katrina and a couple of the other things that have occurred with natural disasters and some of the things that you're talking about, those are great success stories, and we have seen some dive in and not do too well. So if I'm an organization that wants to do this and to do more text campaigning, what's the expectation I should have in sort of some of our first text campaigns and then maybe in the future?
Yeah, and great question. So clearly it's not magic, right? So there's not, particularly today when fundraising is difficult and particularly in a poor economy, mobile is not a magic solution, right? It's like any other channel that has to be managed appropriately and with proper expectations. And the first step when you're extending your fundraising activities to mobile is making sure that it's not standalone, that in fact you integrate it with your other communication channels. So it lends itself best to a cross-platform integration. Think of that as your first approach. You clearly need to connect with your audience based on a relevant cause. So if you're a charity that let's say you're a mental health organization in Indianapolis that draws from a 20 by 20 block radius, mobile giving is probably not going to be for you, right? You want to leverage the reach that mobile provides. When I set up a campaign for you, you need to remember that campaign is going to be live all the way across the country, right? All of a sudden you have access to 260 million users. Now, it's not like back in 1970 when everybody thought, China's opening up, we're going to go sell and make billions of dollars by selling, one item to every Chinese citizen. Not the case, right? So you definitely need to think in the context of how does this fit with your current donor base? How can you leverage your current marketing partners to create awareness? How can you leverage social media to create awareness? How can you be smart and inventive to reaching a new demographic if that's your goal? But you think through what your goals are. Is the dollar raised most important? Is the new donor acquired most important? Is the ability to interact with your donors, is that most important? Because each of those can be achieved through mobile giving, right? So to your point, having clear expectations on how to engage is appropriate. We've worked with local food banks here in the Seattle area, for example, who typically perhaps may not be the best user of mobile giving, again, because of the local audience, but because they have a media, in this case, they had a media sponsor that was able to reach a larger population across Puget Sound. And as a result of the media sponsorship and the call to action that they were able to do on TV through PSAs, they've done quite well.
Yeah.
So look at reach, look at the relevance of your donor base, and look at your primary objectives. And that will help you make an assessment as to whether the cost of mobile giving, which is fairly inexpensive, becomes worthwhile as a donor engagement and fundraising channel.